Right. Oh,
Morning.
goodness.
All right, all right. So, hello, Miss Yolanda. How are you
Hello.
today?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you today?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining us on Living the Hot Mom's Life with Shima.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, yes. And you guys, we have a guest today, a special guest today. And her name is Yolanda Tyler. She's the owner and founder of Playspace Solutions. And
Yeah.
she has done a lot of things in her mompreneurship and entrepreneurship business, working, all kind of stuff. And she's going to share a little bit about herself. I'll let her do that. But we're going to be talking today about something that seems very simple, but sometimes parents don't think so. And that's really playing with our kids and
Yes.
playing together as adults or ourselves as adults. And so Yolanda's going to help us with that today. And I'm so excited. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss Tyler.
Well, I am, like you said, the founder of Playspace Solutions. Playspace Solutions is a consulting company where I help people with various things such as business consulting.
Okay.
I also do personalized private coaching for people that would like to start
Mm-hmm.
indoor playgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
I also offer place-based design. I do virtual assisting,
Okay.
and I also do vision board and goal coaching.
Okay.
So I do a variety of things through place-based solutions for people who would like to open indoor playgrounds or for people who would like to uh, improve their indoor play space, or for just people in general that are just looking for someone to help them understand play a little bit more.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so PlaySpace Solutions, is this a new venture? What were you doing before PlaySpace Solutions?
Yeah,
What
so
got you to here?
exactly. So Playspace Solutions grew out of a former business that I had called Amaya Papaya Play Lounge. It
Yes,
was a play
yes.
space for kids 0 to 5 years old. That play space was open, or I owned that play space for a little over 10 years. I
Mm-hmm.
recently sold it back in October of 2019, and it's still up and thriving. It's a place where parents can bring their little ones to play, and or they could relax or work while their kids were playing. So it's a really
Awesome.
cool space, and that's where my love of playing really grew from.
It really was, and I love Amaya Papaya. I said, man, I wish I would have had this place when my kids were young. I was like, oh, I would have lived in Amaya Papaya. My daycare would have been there at least once a week.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
trust me, it would have been fun. My kids and I used to go to Chuck E. Cheese's, so that was
Yes.
our play space.
You know,
Back
that was,
then.
yeah, that was my play space initially for my daughter.
Yeah.
And based on going to places like Chuck E. Cheese or bounce
Mm-hmm.
house places, Maya Papaya grew from that because I was like, these places are cool, but it just wasn't age appropriate for my daughter when she was little.
Exactly.
And they didn't provide all of the, I guess, educational and enriching
Mm-hmm.
activities that I wanted to have for her. So Maya Papaya grew from me liking those places, but me wanting a little bit more as a parent for my kid.
Okay, okay. So tell me about right now, you said your kids. How many kids you got? Are you married? You got a hubby? What's your dynamics?
Yes, so I am married to my wonderful husband, Thomas. We have a daughter. Her name is Amaya. That's where Amaya Papaya grew from. She's now a teenager. She's 14. And we have a dog. We have a
Okay.
3-year-old boxer mixed dog named Stitch. He's a little rescue guy. And then in my home, my mother also lives here as well. So
Okay.
in our house, we have a nice dynamic of the parents, the grand, my kid, and my dog.
Nice little combination. You had
It's
your
a
mom
great
live with you,
combination.
so that you have a really good relationship with your mom, where you can actually live together in close counters.
I do. I am an only child, and it was always just my mom and I. She's a single parent.
Okay.
So I grew up with my mom, just the two of us. And as I got older, my mom, she's still single. And, as she's been getting older and kind of doing different things in her life, we were talking about living situations a few years ago and
Mm-hmm.
decided that because we were always utilizing her for childcare, I
Yeah,
mean, gosh,
for sure.
that it would be convenient if she lived in the home with us where we can kind of co-parent my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
if you would, together
Mm-hmm.
and be able to be a supportive person, a supportive family for my mom a little bit
Exactly.
more, especially,
Exactly.
now with our current situation. It's nice that my mom is here so we could, run errands for her so she doesn't have to go out and risk possibly getting sick from the
That's
current
right.
situation
That's
that we're
right.
dealing with. So
Coronavirus.
it's been
So,
great.
yes. And so, listen, so with everything that's going on, and speaking of that, parents and kids are home right now.
Oh
I
my
know
goodness, yes.
you had a great community. So I know either your social media, your text messages, people are probably bombarding you like, yo,
What do we
what
do?
can I do?
Right. Truly. It's been interesting because I've actually gained more clients through my consulting and coaching business because parents, they are trying to figure out how do I get work done while these kids are running around and playing, or how do I get work done while I'm trying to do distance learning with my
Yeah.
child. So
Yeah.
it's been nice to be able to offer some advice to parents based on what I used to do with my daughter. She actually came to my brick and mortar business with me for years before she
Yeah.
actually went to school. So I was doing this have your kid with you while you
Yeah.
work thing long before right now.
Long before you were forced to or had to be forced to, right?
Exactly. And, I'll admit, I've always been the first person to admit I've done a couple of journal posts and blog posts and
Mm-hmm.
podcast posts about this, but, going to work or working with your child is not easy
Right.
at all. It's definitely something that you have to put thought into and come up with some sort of a schedule,
Yeah.
if you would, that you could balance out what's going on in your home or just with you and your child. So I say somewhat of a schedule because, I am a very loose scheduling person when it comes to things for my daughter. I like to be adventurous
Mm-hmm.
and I really like to allow her to explore and to kind of learn on her own. So we've been, really figuring out what works for her schedule. She's old
Right.
enough where she can figure that out. So I try not to self-impose what I think she should do. And I've always not tried to do that with my daughter. I've always tried to have her lead based on what she feels like she needs to do and what works best for her, because ultimately she's a person, not just
Yeah.
this child of mine, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. And just like with the boys, I mean, they're like my son's a senior. And my son,
Congratulations.
yes, it's like, whoo. It's like, listen, like first when it all happened, we were like, whoa, wait a minute,
Right. What's going to
graduation,
happen here?
prom,
Right.
grad badge. Wait a minute, how are we gonna know they graduating? It was just like kind of like really weird. And he had a
Yeah.
little bit of anxiety at first, about it, and it's like, dude, what what are we gonna do and whatever. But then he's kind of like a chill person. Now my
I
youngest
love
son,
it.
he would have been on high level. Like, listen, we got what's gonna happen? I need to figure it. He would have been like all over me. I would have been like,
What's
but my
happening?
my oldest is just like, yeah, what's gonna happen? Oh, did you get the money back from prom? Can I buy some shoes?
Right.
Like, what?
Can I just buy some shoes with that money?
Yeah,
That's so
I
funny.
was like,
Oh,
really?
bless his heart. Hey, that's great.
Yeah, so he wasn't like, oh my God, I'm distraught, I can't see my friends. No, because he's just like, I don't know, he's just really easy flow. But when I was like, okay, at first I'm thinking to myself, and I was laughing at them, I was like, oh my gosh, I have my fantasy. I'm gonna be able to homeschool you guys. They were
Right.
like, oh my God, like, mom,
Yes.
yeah,
It's
we don't really need you to homeschool us.
Right. You know, it's funny you say that because my story started out with me, my parenting story started out with me really wanting to homeschool my daughter. When
Mm,
I started Amaya Papaya, my intention was to be able to have her at work with me and me be able to homeschool her indefinitely. However,
uh-huh.
that first year and a half to 2 years of her being at work with me while I was trying to get work done and teach her, I figured out really fast that homeschooling just wasn't something that I I don't want to say it wasn't capable of. It was just something that was just going to be hard for me to
Yeah.
do in being able to complete the tasks that I needed to complete effectively as a business owner as well. So for me, I decided that homeschooling just wasn't for
Right.
me. However, here we are.
Here we so we were laughing and tickling, and they were like,
Right.
"Mom," I was like, "Oh yeah." So then I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a schedule and all this." Like you were saying, can I be loose? And I was like, "I can't be too loose. I gotta have the schedule. I gotta make sure
Yeah,
this boy graduates, you know, and everything, and make
exactly.
sure we got all the credit still." And he has all his credit, but it was funny. And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You gotta get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna
I
do this and this."
know.
They like look at me like I tried. I wasn't able to get up at 10. Okay, just just make sure we're doing the assignments that I do for each day. And let's keep it
Right.
moving. Wake up,
Right.
do your assignments, and let's go with it. We're not going to stress out about it. We're not going to be over here, arguing and fussing about whether you woke up at 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Mm-mm.
Right.
Just trying to work in and
Exactly.
make sure it's done by Friday. Let's go with it.
That's
It's,
pretty much what we're doing. You know, we try to do maybe 3 hours or so of work. And I say kind of because we don't really have a you have to sit here and do work for 3 hours. She's
right.
kind of moving throughout the house to the best location where she feels like she can work. That might be the desk in her room, or it might be sitting on the back porch or sitting at the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
table. When she needs some quiet time, she's usually in her room at her desk, but when she feels like she needs to, be a bit more alert, I guess, or need a bit more support or motivation, whether it be just being in the same room with someone, she kind of moves to the place where my husband and I are working, and she'll work near us
Right.
for
Like
that.
like a co-working feel.
Yeah, she just wants to feel comfortable, so we co-work together.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome. I love that word. And I'm sure parents wouldn't even think about like co-working with their kids. Yeah, just co-work right with
certainly.
them if it flows and if it works, for you. And so your journey with entrepreneurship as a mom, like you were saying in the beginning, you started with you kind of want to be at home with her.
I did.
Okay, so that's good. And then so did she go right to elementary school?
Yeah, so pretty much how my story went was she came, I was working full time as a counselor at an indoor, or excuse me, I was working at an all girls school. I owned an indoor playground, huh? I was working at an all girls school. I was a counselor for teenage girls.
Uh-huh.
And I always say that I was telling those girls that they could have a dream and achieve those goals. But here I was with an idea to have a space for kids back then.
Mm-hmm.
And before I was a counselor, as a teenager, I always dreamed of opening a place for teenagers, right? So crazy that once I became a counselor working with teenagers, I had my own daughter. And then the thought came that I wanted a place for little kids because, parents really don't get a chance to bond with their kids when they're so busy doing other things. So
Right.
my play space was the idea of it was to be able to have a space where parents can really come in to bond with their kids before they get older, because I found that as a counselor that parents were lacking that bond with their kids as teenagers, and a lot of times that bond came in when those kids were little. So my strategy was to, teach parents how to get to know their kids at that 0 to 5 age range. So that way, when they
Yeah.
are teenagers, you'd understand them a little bit more
That's
because
very
you've gotten to
important. You're
know
right.
them. Yeah, you've gotten to know them early on. So, for me, all of that grew into what I was doing at my business and what I was doing as a parent as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then, so what now? When you were talking about bringing your child to work, your brick and mortar like every time, all the time with you. What
Yes.
kind of challenges did that present for you?
Yes. Oh man. Back then she was 3. And if you know anything about 3-year-olds, that's pretty much when they begin to develop their personality. Really, they get to know who they are, and they begin telling you what they want to do and what they don't want to do. They've already established that no word from early on, but now things are starting to really make sense. So as you're trying to enforce rules with them, you know, they understand a bit more that they don't always have to follow the rules. They can try to figure out how to create their own whatever they
Mm-hmm.
want to create.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for me with her, it was setting boundaries with her. It was establishing a space for her when I had work to get done. It was important that I had a space for her to be able to get done whatever she needed to get done or wanted to get done, meaning she had her own little play area. She had her
Mm-hmm.
own little couch.
Mm-hmm.
She had back then her own little personal computer. And when I was trying to get something done, I kind of gave her assignments, if you would, or tasks to
Mm-hmm.
do when I was doing whatever I was doing. At a Playspace, I had to do work on the computer. I had to interact with customers, and
Right.
I was on the floor, making sure that the space stayed clean. So her tasks, sometimes they mirrored what I was doing when I was ringing in the register. Sometimes I would put her up on a step stool and let her do that with me, which is really cool and interesting because now, as a teenager, I look at her now and I notice that she was learning skill sets that she applies to today even.
That's
So
awesome. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really cool to see, some of those interactions that I had with customers. I was basically teaching her customer service. So now she really knows how to interact with people in a professional setting. So much so that at her school, they pick her often to lead tours at the school, or they pick her often to talk when they need someone to speak about the school or programs that they have at the school. And I directly correlate that to her seeing me run my business.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that's a serious skill set,
Yeah, for
being
sure.
able to interact, and especially today in their world is so digital, and with their phones,
Right.
texting, they don't always get that the opportunity to one-on-one conversation, being able to hold a
Exactly.
conversation, to sit at dinner and talk about a topic and understand information and stuff like that. So that's awesome, just to be able to
Hmm.
utilize that. That's good. I love that. So how did she like it being there? Did she ever get to the point where she was tired of being at work with you?
Oh, yeah. There were multiple seasons throughout the journey. When she was a toddler and a preschooler, of course, after a long day, because she was there with me all day for the most part, when my mom or my husband were at work. So, of course, she would get tired. She would get cranky. She would have tantrums while I was trying to conduct business. Imagine your kid having a tantrum when you're trying to check somebody into your business. Yeah. So, you know, she would refuse to do things that I would tell her to do. For me, it definitely created some anxiety because I had learned to anticipate certain things with her. So in certain situations, I would almost be fearful that, oh my gosh, the tantrum's going to happen again. And now I'm going to look, quote, unprofessional in front of my
Yeah,
customers
right.
because my kid is now doing something that is, quote, inappropriate. However, I say those things in quotes because
Yeah.
over time, I almost had to reteach myself. Here I am, the counselor. I'm a, trained counselor, but I had to almost self-counsel myself and remind myself that I'm a parent first
Yeah.
in the midst of this business that I'm running. I was a parent first. So
Yes.
ultimately, I felt like the best thing I can do for my clientele, who were parents as well, was for them to see me parent, right? And when they would, when things would come up with my daughter, or things that would come up with their kids that were similar to things I would go through, I would say, hey, we're all parents. We're all going to go through this thing. And it's okay to sit back and let your kid have a tantrum and help them work through it. It's okay to be, sometimes on a phone call or have a client in front of you and your kid's crying in the background and you say, well, we're going to just go through that. Perfect example of kind of parenting with business. When I had to secure a loan from my bank to start my space, I went into the bank with Amaya, holding her hand, and told the guy at the bank, the banker, that I wanted an application for this loan to take out for my business. Well, he kind of looked at me like, yeah, lady, whatever, especially probably because I had this little kid with me. So, well, wow, that's so unprofessional. However, I would coach Amaya before the day began at Amaya Papai, and even before we started our business, that she was my business partner. She was always my business partner, so I would teach her some appropriate things to do and appropriate way to act when we are conducting business. So, a part of my business as a mom was that I was a mom. So I honestly never tried to hide her or hide her being a kid within, my business. That's always been important to me. And even now, with me conducting business, usually remotely, through video chat or via phone.
Right.
I try to remind my clients that, hey, I'm a mom too, or hey, I'm a mom. So there might be some mom things happening in the background.
They have some mom moments.
there just might be some mom moments happening,
So
So
hold on 1 second.
right. And sometimes, yeah. Or they might hear me say, right. Or they might hear me say, hey, Amaya, I need you to sit over there, or I need you to be quiet for just a moment. So, they hear
That's the
me
reality
parent.
of it.
It's the reality of it. They hear me parent. So, and it's okay, because we are all people doing people
Exactly.
things.
And that's the thing, sometimes when you're a mom and you're running a business and you're doing entrepreneurship and whatever you're doing, knowing that the reality is that you're going to have to be a mom in that process.
Right.
When it's not going to stop. So like when I do events, and coming up and doing things with them, it was a family thing. Yep, my sons are here. They're here.
Yes.
Oh, he's at a hot mom. When I started doing hot moms, they may be at a hot moms event, sitting at a table doing whatever, or you're going to sit at the audio table and help dad, or you're going to be doing this or doing that. You're my setup team.
Exactly. And right. I think that's so important, though. I think, one of the quotes that has been really important to me over the last couple of weeks is, people buy people, they don't buy businesses. When people buy services from you, typically they're buying a service from you, especially small businesses or, independent entrepreneurs. They know that you're a person, and the more you appear human to them, the more likely they are to purchase your service.
That's right. And because they're connecting with you.
Exactly.
Especially when there's so many things and different people going on, that's what's going to happen. They're going to have that connection.
Exactly.
Like, I want to connect with her, and I want to, shop with her or buy from her or learn from her.
Exactly.
Have with you. That's so true. And so when you were doing your business, so just doing a mom business and everything, you have a lot of parents in there. What kind of things you kind of experience? Did you have to like coach moms through some emotional moments and some mental health issues going on in your space sometimes?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Close to you.
Oh man, for sure. I think that it's important to say that my customers help me through situations as well. But back to your initial question, certainly, certainly, there would be days when I would have a kid on the floor and the kid was just having a really hard time with some social things like sharing or just socially not doing things that their parent wanted them to do in public. And, there are times when a parent would cry. They would yell. There'd be times when parents would just come into my space and kind of mentally have to drop everything on me. You know, they would kind of vent. I always refer to my papaya as the baby Cheers. You know how if you know of Cheers, I might be dating myself, but on Cheers, you know, people would come into the bar, they
Yes.
would get their drink, and they would talk to the bartender about everything. They would basically spill all the beans, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how my papaya was some days, you know. People would come in, they would check in, their kid would go on the floor and play, and the parent would just sit and dump to me, or I would come on the floor and, you know, play with them and their kid, and they would kind of verbalize to me all the things that were going on in their life. And in that case, I really got to use my counseling background and kind of offer them support and just be a holding space for them for some of the stuff that they were dealing with. So many times I think that definitely happened. However, like I said in the beginning, you know, those parents or those clients that would come in, they would certainly be a sounding board for me some days. You know, they would come in and I would look like I probably was just crying, and they would be like, "What's going on?" And sometimes I would say, "My kid is being 3."
Yep.
Yeah, today she's being 3, and woo, it's hard. So, and they would, same thing like I would do for them, kind of say it's okay, and, you know, be a support system for me too. So sometimes it did go both ways.
So
Sometimes
now
the
with you,
professional needs some help
yes,
too.
it's like, listen, it's like, oh, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm having a day today. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
for
like, wait a minute, what's going
sure.
on? Don't worry about it. We're gonna just
Yeah,
give me a second,
for
and we'll be back
sure.
at it. So now, when you're doing your Playspace Solutions, so what do you want to teach with that? Like, I know are you helping? You said you were helping people who have or want to have play spaces get it started. Tell me a little bit about Playspace Solutions.
Yeah, so Playspace Solutions is really cool. Of course, it grew out of a Maya Papaya. People would contact me all of the time, and they would say, "Hey, your place is really cool. I want to open a place just like that." Or, "I had an idea kind of like yours, and I would like to kind of see it come to fruition." So through Playspace Solutions, I do consulting, I do coaching, and I provide virtual assisting and design. So basically, someone can contact me if
Uh-huh.
they have an idea to open a space, and they could do what's called a brain pick with me. They can
Okay.
basically pick my brain and learn some of the information that I've acquired over the years. Or someone may already own their play space, but they need additional ideas or just someone to bounce solutions off of, or someone to create solutions for them, and they can contact me and pick my brain to help them with that. Going further, someone can contact me if they want a personalized coach to help them with an ongoing project or program. So I
Okay.
have people that contact me and they want to start a business. And I want to say this too, I help people start play spaces or make their play spaces more successful. However, it doesn't always look like a play space for businesses. People contact me because they have a toy that they want to put into production. So I might help them conceptualize a toy, or
Mm.
someone might have an idea for a book. So I might help them conceptualize that. Or someone might want to start a tutoring business or a dance school, and they want to integrate play in that stuff. So really any type of business where you can integrate play into, I basically can help and coach people and strategically plan with them for all of those things. I also do group coaching where I have a group of people that want to learn about specific things. So I might say, this month we're going to work on this specific thing, and they would join that group, and then that group of people would collaboratively work
Hmm.
together
I like
to,
that.
you know, achieve a
Hmm.
goal. Say someone in their house wants to design a play space. I've helped
Yeah.
people design playrooms in their space. So it's not just on the, you know, it's not just for corporations. It's not just for businesses. It's for people who would like to have, you know, a play space in their home or say you're a business that offers services to parents. You might be a lawyer and you offer services to moms or dads. You might need a small play area in your office for a kid to play while that person's getting a service from you. Or say you're a hairdresser and you own a salon and you want a play space. You need someone to help you procure toys and fix up a play space in your salon. So I can do that as well. And then I do something else that's really cool that's kind of near and dear to me, that came from me being a counselor back in the day. I used to help my students create vision boards. Vision boarding is one of my favorite things. So I can help a individual, a business owner, aspiring business owner, just someone that wants to understand their purpose a bit more. I will basically do a vision board mapping session with them, and I'll create their vision board. I'll create a digital vision board for them. I give it to them. Give it to them and a few weeks after I create it for them. And then I'll kind of explain how they use their vision board to manifest their dreams. So I do a couple of things. And then I said, I do virtual assisting. So I provide business owners with a helping hand. I become their assistant. If they need someone to post on their social media for them, or if they need a presentation created, I can do those things for them. Because when I owned my business, while I was momming, there were a lot of projects that I had. There are, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we always have a new idea, right? Every day we wake up in the middle of the night. Right. In the middle of the night, we wake up, have an idea. That's just what entrepreneurs, that's what creative people do. So I become that extra set of hands that says, I can help you with those new ideas or those new projects, or I can take those everyday projects that need to get done that takes up your time to allow you to free up time so you can start thinking and working on those new projects. So
gotcha.
So I always wanted that for myself. So now I'm that for everyone else.
See, and that's good. And so you kind of you're able to do a lot more flexible things you really want to encompass into what you're doing. Playspace Solutions is the overall, but underneath that umbrella, you do a lot of different things that really help, business owners,
For sure.
So that's awesome.
Thanks.
And so, God, you were saying, I was going to ask you something else about Playspace Solutions. Okay, so, but you did a TEDx talk.
I did.
In 2019, and you talked about play. That's kind of pivoted just a little bit and talk about adult play and playing with your kids and things of that nature.
So play is super important. I've learned about play through Amaya Papaya. That was my former business, and also from being a counselor. So like I said in the beginning, I kind of learned that parents don't understand how their kids play. However, parents don't understand, or adults don't understand how they play themselves.
Right.
So my TEDx talk grew out of things that I would kind of talk to my clients or my customers about that would come into my play space, or also grew out of conversations I would have with my students that were at Pace. They were teenagers, or grew out of conversations I would have with their parents about having more fun. So it grew out of a couple of things. So, for me, play is fostered through three things. In my TED Talk, if people were to go back and listen, I define play using 3 C's. So community, creativity, and cognitive development. So my belief is that you basically learn you conceptualize play from the time that you begin thinking, or your thought of play kind of starts. Whatever community you grew up in, or whoever is a part of your circle, your community, then helps to teach you how to play. And ultimately that transposes into whatever you do as an adult. If I teach my daughter about traveling and the importance of getting to know about other cultures, odds are that later on she's going to want to travel to other places
Yeah,
when she gets
that's right.
older.
That's true.
You know,
Mhm.
if I teach her that playing independently is a good thing, and I sit her down by herself and I say, hey, you play with this Barbie doll and this Barbie doll house, and you kind of come up with the scenario, she's going to have a, a better skill set on how to work independently when she gets older, and she'll know how to teach people how to do that themselves. You know,
Okay.
she'll be able to occupy her own time. So that's kind of community. Creativity goes into kind of what I just said. You know, if I am a creative person when I'm younger, that's going to kind of transpose into what I'm doing later. And as an adult, we forget about all the things that we're good at. We forget about the things that we're not good at, that but we like to do. For
Mm-hmm.
example, when I was, in third, second grade, one of those, I played violin. That was something that always stuck with me. Now, I only played violin in that grade. However, violin has always been something I've always loved. I love hearing the strings, you know. Um, I'm in my 40s now, and something that I always go back to is I always say, one day I'm going to get me a violin again and take some violin lessons, because that's
Yeah.
play for me. That's something that seems like so much fun, you know. If you have a hobby, my mom sews. I always try to get her to sew something, because I know that's something she loves. She works so hard. She works in a call center. She talks to people all the time. But I know that sewing is like her thing. That's her
Mm-hmm.
play, you know. So whatever your hobby is, that ultimately becomes play for you. So that's your creativity. If you're a runner, go out for a run. That's playtime for you, you know. So I try to encourage people to not only
Sorry.
work but to play as well, right?
Right.
Or to figure out how to connect both of those things
And sometimes it's
together.
not as it's some people think it's so difficult to do. And like
Right.
you were saying, it's not always that difficult. You know, it's
Not
just picking up
right.
something you like to do, doing something creative. Like for me, I love to draw and to paint. You know, something people
Yeah.
probably would never know that about me.
Get a
You know,
coloring book.
yeah, you know, what do you say?
I said, get a coloring book. Like if
And
somebody,
yeah,
you know,
you know,
whatever. Yeah.
so it's just things like that. And I might, you know, this little room I have, like I was telling you about in the beginning, that I just created. My first thought, it came from I should create a mural, you know, on
Yeah.
the
That
back
is so
wall.
cool.
And I was like, oh no, it'll be too permanent.
I
Yeah,
know. I
so that was my
know.
thing. And so I didn't. I decided to draw and paint some pictures, which I'm
Yeah.
working on. And so it's so typical. And I always used to want to be an actor, or actress, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And so I told my husband, I am going to be taking me some classes at Dr. Phillips and be one of the production.
Yeah. That's
They
so
were like,
cool.
they were like, what did you
What?
say?
Right.
Like whatever. They all call me goofy because I'm kind of goofy, and no one probably knows it about me. And I'm really a total goofball. Very,
Yeah.
and so they're like, oh my god, and they always laugh like, Mom, you are so goofy. Yeah, I'm a comedian in my first life. I don't know, but yeah, just to have that fun, because as adults we do forget about that and miss out on the work so hard, work, 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 work,
I
work,
think that's really cool.
and we just never think about the fun stuff, anymore that makes us just happy.
Right.
Happily.
Exactly.
And you need
Exactly.
that sometimes.
Yeah.
Feeling.
Right. And learning is, that's cognitive development, things that you learn
Yes.
over time. So, if those are the classes that you take, those are the things that you do to improve upon your skill set. But those things are things we do because they're fun. So, as you learn, make sure you're doing things and learning about things that you really are interested in
Mm,
doing, and have fun
yeah.
while you're doing it. I like yoga. I
Mm.
like the concept of yoga. I never want to be an adult yoga teacher, I don't think. However, I love kids, and I love the concept of yoga. So I actually became a certified kids yoga teacher recently.
Wow.
So I can, incorporate my love of play and children, with this, idea that I have that I like about yoga. So I can take and marry those things together. So I've become certified to do that. So now something that I like to do for play can be something that can generate income for me.
Yes,
right? So
exactly.
now you marry being a business
And play.
with what you're doing when you play.
I
Exactly,
love that.
exactly.
And
So
so,
that's something to keep in
what is
mind.
your top thing to do to play? What's your play? And self, of
My favorite thing to do is go to Disney. I'm a Disney
course.
fanatic. Anything Disney, I'll do. So right now we're doing a lot of Disney Plus in our house. Ha! And we're
Oh,
making lots of TikToks about Disney. We've made TikToks showing our various Mickey Mouse ears that we own in our house.
yeah, I
And
saw one. That was pretty cool. I watched one of
yeah, I've
those.
made a funny TikTok about me going to Magic Kingdom through videos at my house. So, but going to Disney for me is play. You know, I've been a
Yeah.
Disney fan since I was a little girl. And for me, when I go back to Disney, any place at Disney, man, I can just go to Disney Springs, downtown Disney.
Exactly.
I don't even have to go into the park. I become a kid again. I
Before,
just want to
before
breathe in that Disney air.
yes, like,
Right, exactly. So for me, it's anything Disney related for me. Just the nostalgia of it and the innocence of Disney just helps me to feel like a kid again and releases my inner child and just forces me to go into a euphoria of play.
do you
So
think, would you call that your self-care too?
it's definitely my self-care. Whenever I was stressed, it's funny because you know how you see your memories on Facebook. Whenever I'm stressed, whenever I was stressed, I would always see in my memories, I need to go to
Mhm.
Disney today. I'm dreaming about Disney right now. So I know that when I look back at my Facebook memories, I'm like, oh, I must have been stressed right at that time because I'm talking about wanting to go to Disney. So yeah, those are my release. I like to run as well, and I do love traveling as well. So traveling as I'm getting older is becoming more important to me. You know, my last 10 years of life, I've owned a business. So owning my business and running my business has been really important. But
Yeah.
as I've gotten older and friends around me are getting older, I'm reminded that I need to play more. And one of those things for me will include traveling more. I want to have more experiences outside of my
Absolutely.
bubble of life.
Hmm.
Even though I like my bubble, I'm one of those people that right now everyone's they're socially distancing or social isolation, and I like my little bubble.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that's kind of like, I don't know why you guys are stressing about wanting to get out because I'm okay in my bubble.
I know.
However,
It's like, it's funny
yeah,
because, I tell you, during this time, it will definitely show you your strengths and your weaknesses.
yeah, for sure,
And, but it's, and how you choose to deal with them, is very, very important.
it
And,
is.
but it's funny. I think maybe the last year or so, I've just realized that, I'm a, uh, I'm not as extroverted as I thought I was.
I hear you.
That's like
Yeah,
the weirdest thing for me. You
you
could
know what
not
I
tell
call
me
it?
I was not an extrovert and I was
Yeah,
not like social, but I feel
I
like
say that I'm an introverted extrovert.
I think so. And I'm like, oh, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. See, for me, I've come to grips with that and I'm totally okay with that. You know,
Yes, and some people,
I like the people virtually. It's fun.
yeah, and
People
I like
like,
people,
yeah,
but it's like I'm totally okay
okay being
with,
alone.
with being by myself,
Yeah.
and everything.
And
So,
that's okay.
it's really important.
Yeah, and
So,
that it's important to know those things about yourself. You know, I think that right now it's very telling for people. If people will just
yes,
take this time to really look at it for what it can be.
yes,
It could be a time for you to really develop yourself, develop your children, really get to know some other things about yourself and the other people that you are together with. You
that's
know,
true.
it's definitely, in some aspects, it's hard, for sure. But in some aspects, it's a beautiful thing where you really get to come out of this on the other side a different person.
Yes,
So I think it's definitely a time that we can all take to grow from
and
what we are
sometimes
currently
regroup.
dealing with.
I mean, sometimes whatever's going on in your life, if it slows you down a little bit,
Yeah,
to be able to sit still,
for sure.
and whether it's that you need that time to go a different direction, to regroup, to
Yeah, for sure.
reevaluate, to highlight some things that you were forgetting about or forgot about. Now you really have to deal with.
For sure.
and and be able to come out, like you said, on the other side of this thing,
Yeah.
successful. And of course, you're dealing with the natural struggles, whether it's
Yeah, for
financial,
sure. Mm-hmm.
constraints and, things like that. And you know what? I tell parents, like, we're having a support group tomorrow, but you guys aren't teachers. You are
Exactly.
not teachers. And some of you
Exactly.
are not stay-at-homers.
Exactly. And, I'd like to also touch base on the people that are essential workers. I
Yeah.
think that there's a lesson in that and
Woo.
for them as well. For those of us that can sit back and we have been forced to kind of slow down and be quiet,
Yeah.
there are people who have been forced to, their gears have been made to go faster right now.
Yeah.
People are having to do a bit more. I one of my favorite shows is Nightline. I'm a Nightline person and a Sunday
Mm-hmm.
morning person. I don't like the news, but I like news shows. It's very strange. But I was watching Nightline last night and they spotlighted a young lady who's a garbage lady. She rides on the back of the truck and she picks up garbage in the DC area. And she was talking about how her position is, she's an essential worker,
Yeah.
and how people are recognizing her now. And before, she wasn't as recognized as she is now. So I hope that people understand the importance of
essential
the people
workers.
the people that they deal with around them, whether it be the garbage lady or whether it be the doctors and the nurses in the hospital. Recognizing how important people
And
are
you
that
take for
do
granted.
everything. Yeah, the people that you
Too.
take.
You
Yeah.
think about that. You take for granted, like, people, your everyday grocery people,
Mm-hmm,
your
mm-hmm.
gas
And
attendants,
hopefully they understand now how important they are,
how
because
important they
sometimes
are,
you
and
get a
teachers,
job.
how
Yeah,
important
sometimes you get a
teachers
job
are.
and you're just there because you want to make a little bit of money, but you don't realize how important your job becomes. When I was checking people in at my business and running my business, that was something I always tried to be mindful of, was how important I was to those people that came into my
Mm-hmm.
building. And
Oh, that's very good.
that can be a humbling thing, or that can be a thing where people will say you don't sound humble because you say you're important. But I think it's important to understand how important you are and how important the things that you do are. So yeah.
So kudos, and really shout out and kudos to those essential workers.
For sure. For sure.
Especially teachers. I know as parents, we're recognizing too, like, ooh. I would tell some people, like, you need to be sending Miss Jones a little gift.
Right. I was talking to someone recently and we were talking about there's this whole debate with parents on Facebook. Parent debates drive me crazy because I'm like, guys, we're all trying to do this thing. We're all doing this thing. Okay.
Yes, we're all doing this thing called parenting.
We're all doing it right. Some of us need a little bit more help. Some of us don't need a little help. But we were talking about homeschooling because initially people were saying we're all gonna be forced to homeschool. What we're doing right now during COVID-19 is not homeschooling. It is what's called crisis learning. We have been forced into having to distance learn with our children because of a crisis.
That's right.
We are not doing homeschooling per se with our children, because when someone homeschools their kids, they're doing a lot of things that schools are doing, but they're doing other things as well.
Exactly.
Some of those things that parents at homeschool do, we can't even do right now because we have to stay around our house.
Right.
So,
and plus you may have a curriculum.
Right.
Assignments. Virtual and distance learning is not the same thing as homeschool.
It's not. And it's something that has been put into place really fast. God bless these teachers and these principals and these school systems that have had to come up with distance learning criteria so fast.
Yes, that was
so fast. They've had to figure out how to do this really fast. So I think that it's important for us as parents to be conscious of that and not to put so much pressure on ourselves to
to be that
to,
teacher
yeah, to be at a level that
of
we're
that
just
level.
we're not their teacher. It's for
No,
some people that homeschool already, you are your kid's teacher. But for the
yeah,
parents
you
that,
already. But those
right,
who have now you've been jumped
mhm,
into it. You have no idea what algebra is. You have no
right,
idea how to write this paper and geometry and science and
hmm,
all these, and it's like, yeah,
and
you
it's okay.
it's
It's
okay,
okay to say, honey, I don't know. My daughter will come to me and say, hey, mommy, how do I do blah, blah, blah? Baby, I don't know. Did you read it? And
right?
she'll be like, can you do blah, blah, blah? I'll say, that's not my assignment. So, no,
Woo.
sweetheart, I'm not reading that. You
Then
need
it's
to
like,
read it.
listen, let's watch Math Nation together. Maybe we can figure out
Yeah,
this
maybe,
together.
maybe. But you know what? In some aspects, I'll even challenge that to say, maybe we can't figure it out.
Yeah,
And it's okay that we don't figure
and
it
you
out. You
don't.
know what? It's not a big deal. My 14-year-old started having like a small panic attack. Oh my God, we got to do that. I was like, stop,
Mhm.
listen.
Yeah,
We're gonna do what we can, and
yeah,
whatever we can't do,
that's
it's
right.
gonna have to be all good. You can ask the teacher when you do meet up with the teacher, but if we can't get it,
That's
guess
right.
what? We're moving on and we're going to finish out this year successfully,
That's right.
however success looks. One of the things that I used to tell my students, or that we used to tell our students when I was a counselor, was that, and one of the things philosophies we would say in our staff meetings was that sometimes you have to redefine success. Success is not always going to look the way
That's
you've
right.
initially thought it was going to look like. So, my daughter's in 8th grade. She's not a senior, but she's finishing out middle school.
Yeah,
And,
finishing out
you
middle
know,
school, getting ready for high school. That's
yeah,
a big
and
transition.
it's a big transition, and guess what? It's not going to look the way
It usually
it's
looks.
not looking the way that we anticipated it to look.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's okay. So now we kind of regroup and we redefine what
What that
success will
looks
look
like.
like
Yes.
for the end of this year.
That's
So I
right.
think for parents, it's really important to adopt let's redefine success, because success today is not gonna, it might not look the way we thought it was gonna look when we initially started out on this journey.
Just like it's okay. You have to learn how. The best thing right now is and it's not easy for people, but to learn how to adapt.
Yeah,
You
for
have to
sure.
learn how to adapt. And a lot of people aren't good with that.
Yeah,
With adapting and changing,
you
you know,
pivot.
struggle at first, to try to
Yeah,
and adjust. You
yeah,
have
for
to
sure.
you have to learn to adjust, whether it's your parenting style, whether it's your
Mhm,
expectations,
mhm,
how you're communicating, how you're interacting. You
mhm.
have to adjust. You just do.
Right,
Because
for
if you
sure.
just to have a little more sanity and a little more comfortability in what you're doing, you have to learn how you're gonna have to adjust something. And
Yeah,
it's like, oh, like what? I know. You know?
exactly. Perfect example of adjusting for me, like within the last day, has been, my daughter. It's so funny. She comes into my room every morning like clockwork. Hello, good morning. She comes and then she lays in my bed, and in my bed in my room in the morning, I want silence. Um, and then at nighttime or during the day when she's doing her work, I have to be okay with her singing and talking. I don't think it's fair for me to say, hey, you got to be quiet. I think that it's important for me to just let her kind of, be that songbird during the day. But my rule that I've established right now is that when you come into my bedroom, I need you to be quiet. But if we're out in the other part of the house and she's singing and carrying on and being loud where I would have normally told her, hey, shh, right now I've had to adjust a little bit on my parenting, and I've had to allow her to do that a little bit more.
Oh my gosh, yes, because my son is he wants to watch all these musicals.
Right.
Musical guy, he will dance around here, and I'm like, and, for me, it's easier, I let him flow, what have you, but it's like, listen, you have the Apple TV, right? Can you watch it on the Apple TV?
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, last episode. Then can you take it upstairs?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
whoa, what's happening? Do I really
Right.
watch this? Or he's singing, and it's hilarious. Now, my husband, he was home. He's on off one week and off on the other week. Him and his coworker are swapping.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and so they're swapping. So they're on one week and they're off. So when he was here last week, it's funny. And so, like I said, I flow. So he's, my son's singing and I'm going to sit down and I'll watch the musicals with them. Then I'll say, okay, we're done.
Right.
You got to watch the other one by yourself upstairs or something.
Exactly.
My husband's like,
what is happening?
What's going on? Why is he
right.
funny? Hey, we're adjusting. We're here.
Right.
Usually he's not here until the evening.
Exactly.
But now he's here all day.
He's allowed to do that at school, you know. School provides him with an outlet to be able to sing and dance.
So
and
now
do
at
that.
home he has to be able to dance, tap, sing,
exactly.
These songs that we have no idea what they are.
Right.
What musical is that? Are you practicing for something? Like, no. Oh, okay.
Right. Exactly.
Like I was telling somebody, listen, if you have younger, and we have older kids, and when you have these younger children, you're going to have to give them a time period where you're not bothering them. If they're not breaking anything, I need you to let them bounce off the wall.
Yep. Yeah, let them be.
Let them bounce off the walls. As long as you're not hanging from the chandelier.
Right.
And trying to go in and get your knives, and play,
let them they're being safe, let them do their thing.
They're like, what? Like and they can't go outside to the playground.
Exactly.
In class. So
exactly.
I need you to let them release it. Let them run around in the little living room, move the table out the way or something, and let's do some tumbles, some flips, and
okay. That's okay.
It's okay. And trust me, you're not gonna die, and your house is not gonna totally disintegrate because they're jumping around the house. But it's just adjusting.
It's kind of like you will look back. We'll have a meme one day that says, the kid will say, my mom let me do whatever I wanted to do during Corona, and our reaction will be, but did you die?
You're like, listen.
Right, exactly. But did you die? You're okay. You survived.
Oh, and so it's so great talking to you. I was going to ask you another question, but I don't want to. It's going to take us back.
No worries.
But it's just about collaborating and everything with people, it's a good question because, just being entrepreneurs and solopreneurs sometimes, I think sometimes we struggle with the collaboration.
Oh my gosh. This is building. Collaboration has been a topic that I've been talking to entrepreneurs about for the last couple of weeks. I feel like till I'm blue in the face. Some people get it and some people don't. I will be the first to admit that I used to be afraid of my competition. I used to be afraid of collaborating. I used to get really angry when people would, quote, copy my ideas or want to do something like I was doing. Yes. I felt some type of way about that. But as I grew, because there's always room for growth. As I grew, and it took me a little bit longer to learn this lesson than some people, hopefully the people that have learned it, is that it is really important and essential to the growth of your business to be able to understand how to collaborate. Collaboration, whether it be with people who do the same thing that you do or someone that does something totally different, is something that allows diversity to come into your business. It allows fresh ideas to come into your business, and it creates a sense of unity and togetherness that I feel like we lack in this world in some aspects. I think it's really important that, if someone approaches you and they have an idea for how the two of you can work together, you may not always do it, but it's important to at least think about it, give it some thought and consideration, because really cool things can grow out of you collaborating with people that you may not have even realized could happen. You may know someone today and work with them today about something, and 2 years later, a new opportunity can come up. I try to encourage Playspace owners to collaborate and work together all the time, whether they're in the same city or whether they're in different cities or different countries even. I've been approached by Playspace owners on collaborating and being friends and having us work together or share ideas. And, for me, there was a boundary that I had to establish, right? There were certain things that I would collaborate on. There were certain things that I would share with them. And then there were certain things that I would say, well, that's where I draw the line. And if you want further information, because this is my bread and butter,
Yeah,
I
it's your
may
business
have
at the end of the day
to
too.
charge you in order to share that idea with you. However, these are the things that we can do together, and this is the relationship that we can establish with one another. So
Absolutely.
I think with collaborations, it's just really important to understand what collaborating means and to establish boundaries with that collaboration. But collaboration is just so important. And I think that people who refuse to collaborate with other people, you're putting yourself in a place where you're isolating yourself
Really,
in a sense.
from the business
I think,
world.
yeah, you're isolating yourself in the business world. That's why, we hear so much about networking. Networking is so important. That's why they have networking events for you to go out to network and collaborate with people. I think sometimes people forget that, so if you can get to a collaborating event, do it, or a networking event, do it. But if you can't, utilize the tools that you have. Social media is a
Oh, social media is
tool.
big with
It's a
that.
great tool.
Yeah.
I often talk about, I love Facebook. Facebook is my preferred platform for
Mm-hmm.
social media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on Facebook, I decide who I accept as a friend and who I don't. One of the things that I do is I always make sure that if someone friend requests me, I ask them, like, how do you know me?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know me, why would you like to be my friend on Facebook? And I try to strike up a conversation because that's my way to network with that person and to see how we could have a collaborative friend quote ship on Facebook, because it
Right.
might become something other than just them being this virtual person that follows me on Facebook. So I think that collaboration in on many forms on different levels is just very, very important.
Yeah. And like you said, it's just important. People get really nervous about collaborating, like you were saying. Oh, they're going to steal my ideas, or I can't trust.
Yeah,
And it's just very important that you just kind of establish, right, in the beginning relationship,
yeah,
what is this collaboration going to look like?
right.
What do you want out of it? What do I want out of it? Like you said, what are the rules of this?
Yeah,
Especially when it involves money.
exactly.
People, sometimes no one wants to talk about money. It's like, you gotta learn to talk about money. You don't, if someone's asking you to do something, or you're agreeing to do something, you better ask about the money.
Right, right,
You don't wait and assume and say, oh, well, I thought you knew that since I did this that I was going to charge.
right.
I was going to charge. No, you
You
have to.
establish that in the beginning.
And that's what
Right.
sometimes I think messes up that collaboration, and people kind of get that sour taste in their mouth and
Mm-hmm.
about collaboration, because
I agree.
has some bad collaboration, energy, or just situations, and it happens.
Right, exactly. And
There's
it
no way
happens.
it's going to happen, but
Right.
you try your best. Like,
And sometimes
that didn't
people
work out.
aren't sometimes people aren't a good mix, but I think that that's the beauty of business, is
Mhm.
that you figure out what works and you figure out what doesn't work, and now moving forward, if you do try it again, what not to do in that next situation that might be similar. And I think that, and it's so apparent to me right now, that we're such a culture of people that we don't trust.
Yeah.
There's a lack of trust right now in across the board when dealing with people. I think that, you know, parents don't trust teachers, teachers don't trust the parents, people don't trust their business partners, people don't trust government, government doesn't trust the people.
Yeah.
We don't trust, so we've been put into a situation right now with this COVID-19 stuff where we're having to figure out trust. And
Yeah.
we're
On
we're
top of already
whether
having a
right on top of
having
everything else,
fear.
we're having to figure out if we trust what we're being told, and we're having to be trusted by people that we're telling to do certain things.
Yes.
Trust is just so important. I think that it's something that we've we've as we grow in this human nature, in this journey of being a human, as the earth gets older, and as human nature and as human beings, as we kind of grow, trust is something that we've gotten so far from, because we're able to do things independently. We kind of don't need nobody.
Yeah. And that's when that
So
collaboration is like, you don't need, no,
yeah, and I just
really.
think that
That's a lonely road.
it's a lonely road, and it's a road that you may not achieve all your goals if you think that way.
You
You know, it's
won't. You know,
really
you're
hard.
absolutely right. You won't.
It's really hard. You know, I always look at the big people when I think about business for myself. I love Disney, so of course I always look to Walt Disney and what he did to grow his business.
Yeah.
You know, although Walt Disney was named after a person, he had a team. He collaborated with many, 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 many people, whether you agree with all of his philosophies that he had when he was collaborating. You know, there are rumors that he was, you know, not so nice to certain groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
However, he was able to collaborate to grow a multi-million-dollar company.
Right.
um, you know, and there are other greats. There are other
Right. And you can't do
big
that, like you said,
businesses.
by yourself. You can't,
Yeah,
you have to, you have to master that collaboration, that team effort.
exactly.
You know, you
Exactly.
do. And you have to trust people with certain tasks and parts of the project that you're
Yeah,
like,
you do.
whoo, okay, I'm gonna here you go. I'm gonna hang you this.
Right.
You know, and I just tell
Exactly.
you just my youth pastor would always say to us, you inspect what you expect. He said,
That's
so,
nice.
you know, even though you gave them the project, you know, still inspect it to make sure it's going along like it's supposed to go, that
Yeah.
it's still reaching the goals we're trying to meet. You inspect what you expect. Give
Mm-hmm.
them the project, give them the
I
time
like that.
to do it, but still, you know, be right there in case they need to kind of, you know, see what's
Yeah,
happening. Don't be
I like
micromanaging,
that.
but, you know, inspect, you know, what you expect,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I like that.
so yes,
That's
it
important.
always sticks with me when I'm, you know, doing things. It's like
Yeah, I like that.
checking in with my team, like, hey, have you done this? How's it going?
That's really good.
So good. Well, Yolanda, I have enjoyed talking to you today.
You too. I've enjoyed talking to you as well. I appreciate you for having me
Oh
on.
my gosh, well, it's a pleasure. And tell us how people can get in contact with you.
Very cool. So people can reach me through my website. My
Okay.
website is playspace.solutions. That's it. Playspace.solutions. They can also reach me on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram. You can look for Playspace Solutions. And then, of course, my name is Yolanda Tyler. So if you're looking for my TED Talk, if you Google TED Talk Yolanda Tyler, I'll come up that way. And then I'm also in the midst of revamping my YouTube page. So
Okay.
you'll be able to find me at Playspace Solutions on YouTube as well. I also have a podcast called the Playspace Podcast that I do with another indoor play space owner that's currently going through her journey of play space ownership. She's out in California, so we collaborate
That's good. Awesome.
for that. And then I also have a social media pop-up live show called Playspace Solutions Live that right now I'm testing and doing
Yeah.
via Instagram. So you can find me in a lot of places right
She's
now.
right. You can find her. She's everywhere. You can find if you want to get, but definitely get with her if you have some questions. And when she's doing some business coaching, some consulting, she's doing some things, you know. So get in contact with Yolanda. She's awesome. And congratulations on your new business venture. I
Thank
know you're
you.
gonna
I
do great
appreciate
at it.
that.
You know, I'll probably be tapping into you some time coming up soon.
Please do. I
You
appreciate
know.
let's collaborate, right?
Yes, and so great. So thank you. Well, you guys can come back and listen to a new episode next Wednesday. We usually upload them every Wednesday, at least by 12 noon. So this one will be uploaded. You can share and let everybody know what Miss Yolanda Tyler's been talking about of Playspace Solutions. So take care. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.